Welcome back to round three of the League That Means Nothing 2 on Go Again Gaming. As usual, the stakes have never been lower. I am Ian, and today I'm going to be casting a game between Matthew Kenworthy, aka Matagon, on Teklovossen, and Tyler Stammer on Maxx, the Hype Nitro. So, this is going to be a really interesting game because, if nothing else, it is kind of Bright Lights lore related, right? Matthew Kenworthy on Teklovossen, the esteemed magnate, the man who's trying to take over metrics and become the the Mecropotent, the machine god of metrics versus the young rebel Maxx in his mom's car, ready to go and raise hell. I am really looking forward to this now. This is a very interesting game because both players are trying to get inside some kind of big mech suit. They're trying to assemble their combo. And we're going to want to see who can do it first, who can do it best. Maxx does not have a lot of disruption, but what he does have, he has the ability to combo off much, much faster. Teklovossen, generally speaking, wants to play a longer game so that he can assemble his Evos, he can get his game ready, and he is good to go. And then once he flips into the Mecropotent, there's not a lot you can do about it. If your health total is below 30, you're very much priced into losing this game of Flesh and Blood. So the other interesting thing here that I have found is overpower. So for those who have played Bright Lights, who have played with Maxx, will know overpower says you can only defend with one action card. Oddly enough, Teklovossen's best equipment, the Steel Soul equipment, are even well equipped action cards. So that can really force Teklovossen to block very uncomfortably with his equipment. He can't add extra action cards, so he needs defense reactions and the block cards that he would play, but both heroes will play block cards. Maxx just wants to get hyperdriver, 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 get in the car, smash, smash, smash. This is Neon Genesis, Metrics. We've got the mech, Maxx and the Eva versus Matthew Kenworthy, Teklovossen, Esteemed Magnet, is the angel trying to bring about the end of the world. So with that, I think I'm going to throw it over to the gameplay. I doubt we'll see very many surprises in the equipment because it kind of priced into certain equipment in game. But hey, this is the league that means nothing. It might mean nothing, but there's always room for a few surprises. Anyway, now that we're over looking at the gameplay, we can see that Matagon here is on the very traditional base equipment. And we have started with the T-bone. There's no equipment, obviously, Matt can block with here. So it's just going to be a block from hand. And Maxx, I imagine, will use this time to generate a hyperdriver, stick a card in Arsenal, load his pistol because it's free, and then activate Maxx, generating a hyperdriver, having a card to Arsenal, and is pretty much as good a turn one from Maxx as you can get. And we'll pass that over to Matthew. Let's see what he wants to do. Now, just straight up, first Evo, played on turn one, Arsenal pass. As good, again, both heroes starting with as good a turn one as you can possibly get. Because really, we're in a drag race here to see who is going to combo best and combo first. Now we have a Mechanoid boosted away with that T-bone. T-bone forcing the block on that Evo Steel Soul controller. One resource generated, and we are going to use that to follow up with a jump start. So it's going to be a 5, boosting a zipper hit. So a 5 go again with a few cards left here for Tyler, so plenty of options. Sneaking in the first point of damage here through that sink below. Matthew deciding whether or not he's going to sink a card. So we're really off to a fast and furious start here in this battle for the soul of metrics. And yeah, we have a crankshaft again. So another activation, another attack here coming in, boosting a T-bone. So not a too bad a turn here from Tyler, going 2-5-4. Matthew obviously really is priced into keeping his life total as high as possible, because once that mechanoid comes out, we have a problem. Oh, Matt here should have taken a 1 point of damage, but I imagine Tyler is going to activate a Foundry Heart using that one resource to turn it into two, boosting away a Throttle and another T-Bone, generating two resources, creating a Hyperdriver, moving to the end of his turn with a card in Arsenal. There's plenty of time here for Tyler to just keep setting up. That's one of the downsides of Teklovossen, is that you provide your opponents an awful lot of time. If they're trying to end the game quickly, you are kind of in a tougher spot. If it's a more drawn out game versus something like Victor, you really have a lot of time to get into the weeds, equip all your evos, and keep going. Yeah, we have a crankshaft, boosting a crankshaft, putting a counter on a hyperdriver, using up 2 points from a hyperdriver, generating two resources. So we're up to 3 resources here from Tyler, with a card in Arsenal and a card in hand. Yeah, we have a sink below here from Matt, another point of damage leaked, just squeaking through one at a time here as Matt digs in to his deck looking for his evos. And Tyler's going to follow this up with a throttle for 6 nice big chunky numbers, boosting a what looks like a Big Bertha, or no. And then Matt is just going to take the 6, heal 3 with the sigil, so effectively take 3, and we're going to create a hyperdriver with Maxx. Going to hyperdriver with 2 counters, putting 2 cards to the bottom, and ready to just keep digging. Now we're in a race. Who's going to get ready first? Who's getting dressed? A man trying to get dressed, or a man trying to get in his car? Oh, brutal. Demolition Protocol, for those who don't know, doesn't have a lot of text in most matchups, but when it attacks a hero, remove all steam counters from up to X equipment, where X is the number of evos you have equipped. Now, with 1 equipped, that means that hyperdriver that Maxx has just made is dead. And it's coming in as a nice 3 for 7. I imagine Tyler might consider just taking the damage here and continuing to try and set up. Because really, the onus is on Tyler to get things going first, because Matt and Teklovossen really have inevitability in this matchup. The longer the game goes, the more it favors him. So we've just got to block with a jump start, take 4 damage. We've already lost a hyperdriver, and let's see where we go from here. So we have a T-bone boosted 2, boosting. Oh, you don't want to boost those. That's a high octane. That's one of your power cards. You really want to have those for the turn you mechanoid. Right, that is forcing another block off of that piece of equipment, generating a hyperdriver, moving to the end of turn. Arsenal ready to go. Now let's see what Matthew has to return fire. And it is just an Evo Steel Soul Memory, which is great insulation now against the T-bones of Max Nitro. Obviously, a double T-bone here would be quite painful. It might cost Matthew the game, but really, who can say? Let's see what we've got here from Tyler now. Looking at 4 cards in hand, 1 in Arsenal, sending in a 0 to 60, boosting a T-bone, and losing a hyperdriver in the process, and generating 2 resources. Coming in for 4 go agains. Yeah, we have a block with the chess piece. I imagine Matthew is going to have some way of scrapping that, getting it into his banish zone for Teklo's hero text to be able to play. And now we've got a 5 go again, boosting a second Nitro Mechanoid. And a 3 block there from Matthew, taking another couple points of damage. And a crankshaft pitching a supercell, boosting a throttle. So another 5 points of damage coming in. Matthew just blocking with that Evo Steel Soul and going to 30. So we have a good start here from Tyler in terms of life. We still have our 2 hyperdrivers. We really just need a way to get the third one into play. And Matthew sending in another demolition protocol, this time stripping both hyperdrivers, which is exactly where he wants to be at. Just making sure his Maxx opponent has no way of generating extra hyperdrivers means he has to take time out of his day to restart again. Much like when Icelander used to be able to scour chain soul shackles to just delay things. So now we have a twin drive, pitching a crankshaft, boosting a Big Bertha. Shame about the lack of hyperdrivers there, Tyler. Sorry about that. We have a 5 go again coming in. And a Fate Foreseen, opting 1, sending it to the bottom. It's not a piece that Matthew needs, or it's not a Necropotent. Yeah, generating a hyperdriver. No crank. Arsenal pass. Ready to keep on going. We are slowly rebuilding. We're going to just work our way back up. And now we just have a JYD, the Junkyard Dog. Yeah, this limited all-star from Bright Lights, scrapping that chest piece that I had already mentioned. And a 3 block coming out here from Tyler, taking 2. And this means that Matthew is going to be well able to equip a 3rd piece on his turn if Tyler is not able to threaten him. So now the recharge, putting a counter on that hyperdriver, boosting, sending a card to the banish zone, and that hyperdriver generating a resource, and we're coming in here for 9 hull damage, which is a pretty penny when you're max nitro. You want to deal as much damage as possible. You want to really crush a lot of damage into your opponents so that when you flip into the mech, you don't have to take multiple turns to win the game. Now with the 3 block and a sigil, again, Matthew taking just 3 damage overall, creating another hyperdriver. We're moving to the next turn. Let's keep going. That arsenal has been sat there for a little while. It might be a mechanoid, and if it is, we're in a pretty good spot if we're Tyler Stammer. Yeah, Matthew just playing that mech from that chess piece from Banish, and we have a throttle boosting another high octane, generating 2 hull resources, and now which is frankly that is enough to generate a mechanoid, which is exactly where you want to be at. Yeah, that is a full block here from Matthew Kenworthy. Let's see how Tyler is going to use this turn. He's going to activate. He's going to crank. That means we're looking at a Nitro Mechanoid coming this turn, I swear. There's no other reason to crank that. We're going to activate and we're going to Supercell. Supercell X3. We have now officially generated infinity resources for Maxx, putting 3 steam counters on each hyperdriver, creating a hyperdriver which can then be cranked, shuffling this Nitro Mechanoid into the deck. And now let's see what we're going to do with this crank from Tyler. He has now shuffled one of his Nitro Mechanoids back in and is just going to send the pistol for 2. Every piece of damage counts here. Get him to 24. Cards to the bottom. Draw 4. Really looking to find that mechanoid now in the next turn or two. And we have a demolition protocol, removing all the steam counters from the big hyperdrivers. And this is brutal. Just another 7 points of damage. Just when everything was looking Tyler's way, he's just been pushed all the way back again. But this time, Tyler's ready to take 7. So, using his recharge, putting a counter on that hyperdriver, and making sure he's got a nice buff of +4. So this 0 to 60 is going to be for 8 now, generating another resource. So we're up to 3 resources. We have 3 floating, never heard of them, and 8 damage going straight at Matthew. Tyler announces this is a 7 attack when it should be 8, but hey. Yeah, so we've got a block with one of our Terminator tanks or a War Machine and a Fate Foreseen. Now, obviously, this is twice 1 point of damage should have leaked through, but hey, we'll only see if it's relevant towards the end. It might mean nothing. That is the league after all. And now we have made another hyperdriver, card to the bottom, draw 4. Really digging deep into the deck here to try and find this nitro mechanoid before things go south. But Tyler has been playing a fast and furious game to try and win against Teklovossen as quickly as possible, because this is not a position you want to be in where your Teklo opponent is able to hold cards, isn't feeling too threatened. And now we have an Annihilator engine. So this is a 6 overpower for 3 resources that it destroys all defending cards. So there's no blocking this with your equipment unless you decided you don't want to get in the car. So just take 6 here from Tyler. Matthew's just going to Arsenal. And now we have a rev up. Costs 1 less for the hyperdriver. So this is a nice boost. 6 go again. Boosting that last high octane. Oh no. That is not what you want to be seeing. Going up to 3 resources now. And we have a 6 block here from Matthew, trying to keep his life total nice and high. Closing the combat chain. Making a hyperdriver. Cranking a hyperdriver. Playing a supercell for 3, which is putting a ton of counters on these hyperdrivers, making another hyperdriver, shuffling that last mechanoid back into the deck, cranking again. This is getting good, ladies and gentlemen of the league. That means nothing. There's no more Annihilator and not Annihilator, Demolition Protocols to muck Tyler's turns. The deck sizes are getting thin, so he's getting close to finding that Nitro Mechanoid and just sending 2 from the pistol, taking 2, putting Matthew to 22. 22 plays 14. Arsenal, draw, and we have a 2 go again from this Tekla leveler now that there's 3 Evos in play against go again, and Tyler is just going to take the 2, say, yeah, that is just bait. Send me the bill. Show me what you got. And Matthew is just going to play the last Evo. So we are locked and loaded and ready to become the Mechropotent, to become the Shadow Mechanologist. And now we have a boost of another Nitro Mechanoid, rev up, coming in for 6, generating 1, 2, 3, 4 resources. So we have a 6 go again. We have the boots block, and we have a command and conquer block, making sure to stay in a nice cushy life total here for Matthew. And Tyler really thinking about what he's doing here. So looks like we're going to close the combat chain. And let's see where we go from here. This is going to be a flip. So we're activating Cogwork Space Legs. We're going to generate a second action point, and now we're going to become the Nitro Mechanoid. So this is going to be 6 times 2 this turn at least. So we're destroying 3 hyperdrivers. Well, not destroying, but putting them underneath the mechanoid. Everything goes under the car. All the equipment into the car. Everything's in the car. So we're going to send in 6 overpower with our first action point. I've got a block and take 3. And then let's see where we go from here. And another one. So another 3 points of damage dealt. Tyler's at 12. Matt's at 15. This is anyone's game. And what have we got here? The War Machine. It is 9 overpower. We have a block of 3 and a block of 5. So we have a block of 8, and we're going to blow up that twin drive in Arsenal. And we're in a happy enough spot to throw away spare mechanoids because they're not doing a whole lot for us. Now, Matthew moving to Arsenal, he is now digging for his big finish to his combo. But Tyler gets to start with a throttle, a blue throttle, generating a resource using that hyperdriver that's still in play there. So we have a 4 go again. It might not seem like a whole lot, but hey, every bit of damage counts now. Matthew, fate foreseen. Putting it to the bottom, obviously not a piece that he needs in order to turn into Teklovossen. Now we're making another hyperdriver because Max's hero text is still alive, cranking it, and then attacking with the nitro mechanoid, coming in for another 6 overpower. So I have a 2 block here, and both players are now at 11. We are even Stevens here. So let's start with this Teklo leveler for 3 go again. Tyler says, send me the bill. Like 3 damage is 3 damage. It's vanilla. It doesn't do anything. And here is the singularity. So now his intellect is 5. He puts some cards back into his deck. He generates 6 resources. And he generates 2 action points. So we are in a very, very good spot for Matthew, and Tyler is really going to be forced to do as much as possible to try and end this game this turn. But this has been a hot shot, rock'em sock'em battle here. But Matthew now has 2 action points and the ability to attack with his Teklovossen twice, forcing Tyler to discard a card twice, discarding a recharge, and deciding whether to block. I can't say this game is going to go much longer now with the way both players have done the powerful thing. Yeah, we've got a block from the Nitro Mechanoid for 4, taking 2 points of damage. And then we're going to attack again using the other 3 resources that we have floating. Again, Tyler is forced to discard a card. And he will need to block with at least 1 card here. And it's going to be a twin drive, and he's going to go to 3. I don't see much of an out here for young Tyler. He would really need something like a high octane and some boost cards, and I don't think we have that in us right now. So we're going to start with a T-bone, boosting a 0 to 60, generating 2 resources. So that is going to force a block from Teklovossen as he is an equipment, thus making sure he can't be used to block along with the mechanoid. So now we have Jumpstart coming in for 5 boost, 5 go again. Block 3, take 2, and then 6 overpower for another. Now Matthew gets to block 1 here, using a sink below, taking 2, and that might be the end of the game here because Tyler is going to be forced to give up cards on Teklovossen's attacks, and all of his Mechanologist attacks are just going to have go again. So we're going to start with a Terminator tank, which if it hits, yeah, we've just got a concession there from Tyler. No way to cover up the 9 overpower. And what a rock'em sock'em game we had there, ladies and gentlemen. Woo! Congratulations, Matthew Kenworthy. You can see why he's the only person to play Teklovossen to a 5-0 at a ProQuest. And Tyler gave it a valiant effort. He maxed, he nitroed, he just couldn't find the keys to his Maz car in time to get through the rest of that game. But wow, real close. Well played. Both mechanologist players there really showing everything they had. And it's going to be phenomenal seeing where they go in the next round of the league. Um, Congratulations, Matthew. Commiserations, Tyler. Hey, one like only a couple of losses. You never know. You might still bubble into top 8. Matthew, you're still in contention. Let's see where we go from here. We'll see if Teklovossen can take it home. If we can, Maxx maybe can sneak his way in there, like the little rebel he is, and get through the rest of the league. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I have been Ian. You can find me, as always, at findalls_spirit on Twitter. I'm usually talking Flesh and Blood. I've started talking a lot about the events that I'm playing in, so if you're interested in following along with that, please do give me a follow. Other than that, make sure you like, you subscribe, you comment, you tell us this league might mean nothing, but to some of us, it means so much. It is a great league. It's all for the love of Flesh and Blood, and it's great to see something like that on Go Again Gaming. For now, I'll leave you, I'll love you, and I'll see you in the next one.